You're listening to the Quoted Podcast Season 16. Now, let's get on to today's episode. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Quoted Podcast. I'm super excited to be joined with the first guest of Season 16, Katie Ashcraft. So, welcome back.
Yes!
Yes!
Sweet! I love it.
You're the second episode, but first guest.
Sweet. Well, I'm glad to be here for the 2025 season. I love it. That's so cute. You did a little, I love that a lot. That's cute.
Thanks. Okay, everyone. So, I think we should start off by letting you reintroduce yourself.
Yes.
Because you've been on at least 3 or 4 times by now, but just for anyone who's new. So, let us know who's Katie Ashcraft.
Hey, y'all. I'm Katie Ashcraft. I am a Louisiana girl, originally from Shreveport, and the way me and Ella know each other is, I think, 6 years ago, 5 years ago?
A long time ago.
I taught her piano, and then I moved away, but we've kept in contact all these years, and I'm so glad. I'm a worship leader. I'm a songwriter. I'm a daughter of the King. I love the Lord. I smile a lot. With coffee. Look, I brought my coffee with me. You see, enjoy the journey. That's
cute.
Today. That is my quote today, but that's not the main quote.
Okay, yes. And Katie is like my favorite piano teacher ever. And yeah, we've been friends for a while, and I'm really glad that we stayed in touch, and I love talking with her, so I'm excited for our conversation today. And yeah, I guess we should just get into the questions.
Let's do it, girl.
So usually I do a quote of the episode, but I do it at the end. But I thought this year, let's do it at the beginning. Let's start off with the quote and let's get deep, because most of the episodes are based off of the quote and titled off of it. So, today's quote is, "When God calls you to something, He is not always calling you to succeed, He's calling you to obey. The success of the calling is up to Him, the obedience is up to you," by David Wilkerson. So, what are your thoughts? What do you think about this quote? What does it mean to you?
When I saw that quote, I imagined somebody sitting in a chair and they moved back, whoa! That was just spot on. It convicted me, honestly. That quote, and it humbled me too, because I just think about in success, when God calls us to something, sometimes we can easily just think oh, it's because of what we do, that we succeed. But really, it's because what if God has done in our lives, what His power in us,
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I think about. And I just think about, I can't do anything good apart from His calling or His anointing. That statement just makes me feel wow, God is the one who makes me succeed. It's not my doing. It's my giving into His will and obeying Him that makes me succeed. It's my humbleness that makes us succeed. And we're not going to always see what is success in our eyes, but it's because in the process, I think when God is humbling us, we start to fall more in love with Him than with the calling. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think easily we can get so caught up in, the calling, but God sometimes will humble us, and things won't always work out the way we want to, because He wants us to keep our eyes on Him. You know what I mean? That's kind of what I think about, honestly.
Yeah, no, I was totally thinking about the same thing, because this year I've looked back at everything that I've accomplished, and I reminded myself that I didn't do all that just by myself. I got to do that because of God and His plan for me, and He helped me to be able to do all of these things, like publish a book and do another podcast season. And so I remembered, yes, I did these things, but it's not all just because of me. God's there too. He helped me to accomplish these things and get them done. And also, um when the quote says that the success of the calling is up to him and the obedience is up to you, it reminds me of, like, yes, we have the choice, like what we're going to do with our life and what we're going to do next,
Mhm.
but God also has a plan for us. And sometimes we can't see his plan, but sometimes we can. But
Yeah.
we always have the choice to decide, are we going to choose what God has planned for us, like what we think he's got in store, or are we going to go on a path that we don't think is going to lead us anywhere good? And so it's like, are
Yeah.
you going to obey what God has for you, or are you going to go a different way? And maybe things won't end up as well that way.
Girl, that's a
So,
good thought. I mean, I kind of reiterating off of what you said, reiterating, that's the word.
yes,
Like, God commands us to obey him. He doesn't command us to succeed. You know what I mean?
true.
And like I think
Yeah.
Proverbs 16:3, like commit our plans to the Lord and he will establish our steps. The establishment, like that's success. Like he establishes our success
Mhm.
and we just obey and simply go with it. And like all the work that you've done, like I just think about how you've stepped out in faith so many times and you've obeyed because God's put that on your life. And little did you know how much of an impact it would make even at the age you're at. Like God's doing
Mhm.
great things in your life and I'm so proud of you. So,
Thank you. No,
yes.
like, I have definitely had to step back because sometimes on my Instagram, I'll start posting about like so many random things, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is supposed to be for my podcast. So don't forget about like
Uh,
sharing new episodes and like reminding people of God's love, because sometimes I get caught up on like things that I want to post, but then I also remember like, hey, let's share some episodes, like let's actually share podcast
ooh.
related things and encourage people, because it's not all about what I want to post too, because I also want to share what God wants me to
That's
post.
that's really wise, Ella, because sometimes I think it's good to do like random things sometimes. I know what you're saying, but
Yeah,
at the same
yeah.
time, like don't take your eyes off the focus. I know what you mean.
Yes,
I think
yes.
even for me, like I have to be aware of that too. Like I may post something and it just kind of doesn't go with everything. And it's like, okay, like Katie, what are you doing? Like, what's the purpose? What's the motive? You know?
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
This is a
Yeah,
good
yeah,
quote though.
totally.
It
Like, it's
convicted me.
okay to be random, but like just don't forget what you have your account for, is what I was thinking.
Hmm.
But yeah, yeah. So that is all super important. And I really love today's quote, and I think it is just really good. So,
Yes.
yeah. So, when it comes, oh, and we're going to stick with like the calling subject today.
Okay.
So, when it comes to our purpose in life, do you have any advice for anyone who is struggling with finding their purpose or feels like they don't have one?
Oh my gosh, when I saw this, the first thought that came to my mind was like, first of all, I think people when they struggle with that, like especially like at the age of like college and high school and whatever, I want them to remember, whoever's listening, you're not behind. You're not behind in
Mhm.
life. Because I think we can easily be like, okay, this person's at 18 making records, or this person
Oh
has like
yeah.
a traveling ministry, and I'm 28 sitting over here, and I just, go to work and I go home. Like, what is my calling, God? What am I doing with my life? So you're not behind if you haven't taken off yet. And I
Mhm.
think there are so many examples in the Bible, like Moses. I wrote some down. Moses started his ministry like in his old age, like or
Mhm.
his calling. Like God called him to bring, his people out of slavery, and he was older. Like you're never too old. Like
Mhm. Yes.
and like even if you don't know the focus yet, like you're not behind. Like just, I guess the other piece of advice I would say is like maybe take some quizzes online. Like if you don't know what to do, take some like interest quizzes, like what am I
Yeah.
interested in? What are my gifts? And also like if you want to like try something new, like get plugged into a God believing church. and find like
Mhm.
places to serve, like maybe like ask people like, hey, like what are, service opportunities do you have, and maybe like start there and do it with friends, like find friends to like do new things with and try that out, I would say,
Mhm.
different, to see like what your
Yeah.
interests are, what could be potentially the calling on your life.
Mhm. And when it comes to that question, I was thinking about, like, I was looking back on this year and I was remembering things that I still wanted to do, but that felt so far out of reach. And I think sometimes we have dreams and aspirations that we don't think are ever going to become true because they're so big.
Mhm.
And so I also want to encourage everyone, like, if you don't feel like you found your calling yet, but you have these big dreams like me, like I want to be on a movie set one day. So
Wow.
random, but I want to be a part of a movie production. And like if you have a big dream like that and you're like, how in the world am I going to do that? Or how am I going to get there? Don't let go of those dreams, because I mean they might not always come true. You never know. But God is so big and he has so many amazing plans for you that you just can't see yet. And so never let
Yes.
go of your dreams, because they might come true one day and you might have a chance to make them happen. So that's also my
Mhm.
advice too, and don't get discouraged if you don't know where you're at right now, and keep doing what you love and don't forget about that.
Exactly. And just tying into that, because I think the best piece of advice I would say is like take it to God in prayer. Like you said,
Yes.
keep pursuing, actively pursue while waiting on God, because there's a difference of waiting on
Mhm.
God and just sitting still, and then there's waiting on God and just
Yes.
taking a leap of faith, kind of like what we do. Like I decided to write a song and release it, and God did something great with it. You decided to start a podcast and write a book, and look how many lives it's touched. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like God,
Yes.
yeah, never underestimate God. Just take a step of faith and bring it to Him daily and say, God, this is what I want to do, Lord, or I don't know what I want to do, God. Open the doors, show me the people I need to connect with. And He is faithful to do it.
Yes.
He's done it for me. He can do it for you.
And that reminds me of like the thing I heard this year. People are saying like bed rotting is when like they just lay in bed all day and do nothing, which is okay to do some days. But I was thinking about that phrase and I was like, let's maybe not make that a thing,
Yes.
because sometimes you don't feel like doing anything, but don't spend the rest of your life bed rotting just because you
Girl,
don't know
yes.
what you're doing. Like there are still things, there are still people out there to meet and experiences to have. Like go take the trip and go do the thing just because it's fun.
Because it's fun. Yes, and in those fun moments, you may find something you're passionate about, or just like a moment, and you just want to do something. You
Yeah.
never know, like what experiences can show you, like the people you meet, the things you do, and try something
Mhm.
new. Open mindedness. I would encourage anyone to be open minded. Like try something out of your comfort
Yes.
zone if you don't know. Like
Yes.
yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah, cuz you're going to find your calling even if you haven't found it yet. Okay, we kind of like led into this already. How
Whew.
did you personally find your calling and start living it for you?
For me. Well, I'm
Yes.
just very thankful because I think I answered it in question two, and it goes into
You
this.
probably did.
Yeah, I'm thankful. Like, I've always known music was going to be the main calling of my life, but of course,
Mhm.
I don't always want to limit it to that because I'm still young. I'm 28, so there could
Yes.
be other things that God calls me to, which He has, which I will explain. But
Okay.
so I was born into a music pastor's home. So music has always been a part of my life, and it's always been encouraged for me to like cultivate that talent in me, like the skills that God's given me.
Mhm.
So I'll just kind of share, like, I started taking piano at 5 years old, classical
Wow.
lessons. Yes, and I'm so glad I did because there was many times where I complained and said, "I don't want to do this," but mom and dad were like, "We see it in you. Just keep doing it. When you're at a certain age, you don't have to do it anymore." I didn't like practicing, but I'm thankful I did it because I've gained a lot of music knowledge
Mhm.
and I mean, I started singing when I came out of the womb, but really at
Mhm.
3, really at 3 I started singing in church and dad gave me many opportunities to sing cuz he was the music pastor, you know.
Mhm.
But in 5th grade, around middle school, is whenever worship leading started becoming kind of serious for me. I sang Shout to the Lord at a talent show in 5th grade. And I remember when I was singing to everybody, I started like getting emotional and I started like worshiping, like in the middle of the talent show. And I remember getting off stage, I'm going to cry. Like, God. God told me, like, this is what I want you to do the rest of your life.
Aw.
And I was in 5th grade. And I remember in middle school, I wrote in my paper, I want to be a worship leader when I grow up. So, and it's interesting because my dad was a music pastor at one church, but there was a church near down the street that had a youth group because I was at a church with a lot of older people. There wasn't a lot of
Mhm.
things my age. And I remember at 7th grade, I'm like, God, I want to grow in my faith. Like, I want to be around people my age and I want to grow in my faith.
Mhm.
Like, so in 8th grade, I started going to this youth group and somebody heard from my dad that I play piano, and they're like, "Come play piano for our worship team." And I was all shy and weird. I'm like, "No, Dad, why did you tell them?" So I auditioned, and they're like, "Yeah, we want you to play on the worship team." So in 8th grade, I started playing on a worship team. I kind of moved out of classical and moved into chords more, like
Mhm. Oh,
playing
yeah.
concerts. And then they heard me sing, and they're like, "We want you to lead worship," and I'm like, "Oh, great."
Oh, great.
Because I was so shy and like
Yeah.
awkward. But
Yeah.
anyway, so I know I'm taking a while to tell this, but I
No,
started
it's you're fine.
leading worship more in high school. Like doors just opened, Ella. I don't know. It's just I got choral training, and I don't know. I just tried to do a lot of music things to help my calling grow. And
Mhm.
I majored in music in college, music ministry, and then I don't know, like somewhere after college, I started feeling called to go out to other churches and travel and lead worship.
Mhm.
Like God gave me a heart for that because I was just set on being a worship pastor at a church. That was always my
Mhm.
heart, and which it still is. But I have a heart to travel. Like God kind of put that in me. So now I've been having open doors for that too. I don't know. It's been a slow, gradual thing, but
Mhm.
God just keeps putting different things. Like don't limit your calling. That's what I
Yes.
will say.
That's really good.
Because like also music education, I didn't know I was gonna teach piano students. I thought like I'm not a teacher, I don't like getting up in front of people and like talking, I just like to sing. But
Mhm.
I realized what a passion I have for teaching music. Now I teach private piano lessons. It's one of my favorite things ever.
Mhm.
I enjoy it. And even songwriting, like I don't know, I guess that's how I got into my calling. I just kept surrounding myself with like music and people to help me grow, and God's opened
Yes.
doors. The God has done it. I didn't do anything. I just
Yeah.
obeyed and God did it, man.
That's so fun and really good. I was gonna say when you were talking about how you learned piano at 5, I can tell because the chords for Isaiah 55, I couldn't even play them.
Oh,
Like,
girl.
I need you to teach me. Like, we need to meet up and you need to teach me how to play it.
Let's go.
Cause I stopped taking piano lessons because I did get tired of practicing. Like, I just like the chords.
Yeah.
I don't think I care about reading music that much. I just like playing. So I kind of stopped with the lessons, but I really
Good.
want to learn Isaiah 55. I just can't do it by
Well,
myself.
I would love to meet with you, Ella. That would be fun. And I think like just the fact that you got a little bit of a classical background, that's going to help you with chords, I think.
Mhm.
Because again, I didn't continue with classical either. Like I just kind of was
Yeah.
done with it at one point. I'm like, eh. Some people continue it, but I love that you're pursuing chords. Like, let's sit down, let's do it. Let's have a coffee. Let's get coffee and
Yes.
play keyboard.
Yes. I wish they had like a studio space with just a piano that you could rent out. Like
That should
that
be
would
a
be
thing.
amazing. 'Cause,
That should be a thing.
like, I don't know where we would meet up. We should meet up at, like, your church or something.
Yes,
I
I
don't
have a
know, make a
Nord.
trip of it.
I have a Nord. We can play on the Nord. You know, like those fancy red keyboards?
Ooh, okay, I've seen those.
Come
Those
to
are
West
nice.
Monroe. That'd be so much fun.
Okay. Okay, we'll plan it one day. Okay, so the quote of the episode mentions that the success of our calling is up to God, but following that calling is up to us. So I feel like you answered this too. Okay, we're just gonna say,
I did.
have you ever?
I did. Yeah. Yep.
I'll just say it anyway, and you can just add on or whatever.
That sounds
Have
good.
you ever felt called to something and did not end up doing that, but found yourself somewhere you weren't expecting to be instead?
Teaching piano. Literally teaching piano. Like, the way that came about was, when I went to airline, I got a job as a music associate, and he's like, "We want you to
Mhm.
start a school of ministry, like teaching piano lessons," and I was
Oh.
scared to death.
They just told you that? They
Yeah,
they
like
were
they
just
want me to
like,
teach piano. Like
"Oh.
I don't think it really was a choice. They just wanted me to do
Oh."
it, and I was scared because like I didn't know how to like talk or teach piano. But let me tell
Mhm.
you, the more I did it, like the more I grew to love it. I can't explain it. Like, I love teaching piano. I love helping students reach their goals, and I love seeing them succeed. Like, it makes me
Yeah.
so happy. Like when my students play a hard piece they've been learning.
Mhm.
Yeah. So honestly, that's
Yeah.
how I would answer it. I ended up being because like I guess God called me to music education in a way, but it looks different
Mhm.
than like a classroom. Like I teach private lessons. If that kind of
Mhm.
answers the question.
Yeah, no, that totally does. And I actually like admire your like how you are so good at teaching because I was thinking about it and I don't think I could teach piano. Like just like having to be patient and like not take over and let the kid do their thing like I you just
Yeah.
do an amazing job. Like I don't think I could do that.
Thank you, Ella. That means a lot, girl. Thank you.
Of course. Okay, now we're getting into some music.
Ooh.
A few years ago, you released a song called Isaiah 55 based on the chapter in the Bible. Now, this chapter itself shows God speaking to discouraged people who are in captivity and have an uncertain future. This chapter also depicts how God unfolded his path, removing his people from their thirst and longings to fulfillment, peace, and joy.
Mhm.
Looking back, what was your biggest reason or inspiration for making this your first released song? How have you grown since you released it, and what did this song teach you?
Ooh. Song story time.
Yes.
That's literally what like I was thinking. It's time to tell the story. So I
Yes.
had to actually it's been forever. I think it's been
Mhm.
like 4 years since I released it. So I kind of had to go back
Wow.
and figure out because really during COVID, I really started piecing it together. But I
Mhm.
think in 2019, that's whenever the song idea came about. Just
Okay.
in my quiet time, I read Isaiah 55 and I really connected to it. And I loved the words and the message, like you said. It was just so full of hope. Like
Mhm.
the main line that really gets me is, "Your thoughts are not my thoughts, your ways are not my ways." So
Yes.
yeah, so that's my favorite part of the scripture. But I think like a week or month later, Ella, something really
Mhm.
cool happened at my university.
Oh.
So a student texted the student body. This has never happened before. And they
Okay.
were like, "Let's meet. Hey, I just feel a calling from God. Like, I feel like we need to meet up, like in Lampsada Chapel and worship and like have a revival night." Like, he just was feeling from God that we should all meet up. Like, that never happens. So
Oh.
students started coming
Okay.
together and we started like doing spontaneous worship. And then like they were sharing their testimonies one after one. Like they were opening up about how God
Mhm.
like brought them out of this or brought them out of that. And we would like worship and testify, worship and testify. It was like a revival night and it went till like
Wow.
midnight because we were getting kicked out. We're like, "No, we can't be in the
Oh.
places." I know, it was amazing. Like never in my life have I been to something like that. And I remember just
Wow.
thanking God. I was in the car at like 12:30 at night and I started reading Isaiah 55 to myself and I was just weeping. because I feel like that whole revival goes with the message of, for all who are thirsty, come and drink
Mhm.
from the living waters. See who can truly fulfill, who truly can
Yes.
satisfy. It just was so moving to see like students hungry to like
Mhm.
grow closer to God and to share their faith and to grow. Like that really inspired the song, I would say.
That is beautiful. That is
Yeah.
so beautiful. I don't think you've ever told me this, so that was I love hearing about that. No, because I was thinking about it, and I just remember when that song came out. I don't even think you told me. I don't know if we were in contact or anything, but just one day, I think you texted me or my mom told me. She was like, "Oh, Katie released a song." I'm like, "What?" I don't need. I might have been out for like a few weeks or a few months, and I was just like, "Oh, okay." And
That's so cool.
I love that song. Like,
Thank
it
you.
is so good. I also love Shield, of course.
Thank
But it
you.
just like I was when I first found out about it, I was like, "Oh my gosh, Katie wrote a song." Like that is amazing. And I think you're one of my first like friends to have released a song that I knew of. Cuz like
Oh,
I didn't meet like Kate Stanford or Ariel until later. So I
yeah.
think you were like the first one. So I was like,
Aw,
"Oh my goodness."
that is
That
so
is so
cool,
cool.
girl. Thank you for your encouragement. Thank you so much.
Yes. And okay, I don't want to pressure you by bringing this up, but last time we talked, you said you might have new music out. Have you been thinking about anything or writing?
I definitely have ideas and stuff, and there is like a
Okay.
song I've been kind of like a chorus. I write a lot of choruses, and I
Yeah.
have a vision. It's definitely been a season where I've been pouring into my church and my piano students. So I haven't
Yes.
songwritten as much, and I felt kind of
Mhm.
guilty about it. I mean, I'm just being honest. Um, but I think really like I'm really called to just be there for my church right now and
Mhm.
my students, and even like just other people in my life. But I don't want to stop writing. I definitely have ideas, and I definitely want to hopefully release something at some point.
I totally get that because this year I have barely done any writing. I thought after I released Called by Name, I'll take a few months break and then I'll start writing my next book. And I started trying to write another book and it has just not been the same. So I felt a little bad because I wanted to get like I wanted to have another book in progress, but I've barely written anything. So I guess it's good to take breaks
It
and
is,
just let
yes.
it come to you. But yeah, so I completely get that. I just wanted to ask.
Well, I'm glad you're just being honest about that because I think there are seasons where, like,
Yes.
I don't know if this is a good way to put it, but the harvest sometimes is bare and then it's ripe. Like, we have a lot of time to write and, like, learn things from God, and then, like,
Mhm.
that inspiration will come out when it's supposed to, maybe.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Mhm.
Like, Brandon Lake's in a whole season of releasing songs, but he probably had a point where he wasn't writing much. But now he's just releasing so much. So I know that God
Yeah.
has things to still. Anyway, but yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, yeah. Okay. What is your favorite part of life right now? And if you could give one piece of advice to yourself when you were releasing your first song, what would it be?
Just kind of what I said. Like, I think
Mhm.
I've really changed my perspective because I've loved being at my church always, but I think there's always a thing in all of us that we want to what's next? What's in the future?
Oh, yeah,
What's
yeah.
ahead? But I've been trying to be present, honestly, and I've been loving my church really well, and they love me.
Mhm.
I have a family there, and I'm able to minister to them, and they minister to me. So that's my favorite part, just connecting with my church family, making friendships.
Yes.
My piano students, I adore them. I think it fulfills me to pour into them, like
Mhm.
what God has been showing me. And like, I don't know, I love it so much. And then also just dating my sweet boyfriend. It's been a
Yes.
wonderful time. I'm just thankful that God was faithful and brought the one for me. I've been
Yes.
enjoying those things. And if I could give myself a piece of advice, you know, I would just say.
Okay.
So, what I would say is for the second part of that question is
Mhm.
honestly just find a community and like just connect to other people. I
Mhm.
think at that time, I just when I released the song, I was just kind of on my own, a
Mhm.
lot, and I would just encourage people. Like I would encourage myself back then to have connected with other people and to build a
Yeah.
community of
Yeah.
friends. Honestly, I think that
That
would be the
that's
best thing.
really good advice.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I used to be like I would just stay at home, go to school, go home, that's it. But ever since I've been able to drive, I've really been trying to spend more time with people. Even if
Yeah.
I'm the one making all the plans, which feels like it a lot, but it's okay. Like
Yes.
I'll just reach out to people, and I've got some plans over the next few weeks that I'm really excited for, and just to like reconnect and hang out. So that's been my thing recently too, and I think that's a really great advice for sure.
I don't know about you, but are you an introvert?
Yes.
All right, so me too. And I would say normally I recharge and I need my quiet time and my alone time, which is true. But I've
Yes.
realized I also need people time too. Because if I isolate too
Yes.
much, I can get in my thoughts a lot and I can get kind of bogged down and
Mhm.
discouraged. We need people, we need
Mhm.
community.
That's how I've been feeling this year, cuz I used to think I was just fine like going home and stuff. But then now that I can go out, I'm like, "Okay, I'll go out." And I'm like I'm always open. Like I don't really have anything to do, so I'm just like, "Hey, let's go hang out. Let's
Yeah.
go do something." And I'm down for it. So,
And it's
yeah.
fulfilling, isn't it?
Yes. Cuz like a few years ago, because I've been going to Texas a lot for concerts and stuff, and a few
Ooh.
years ago, I didn't do that because I thought it was too far of a drive, and I hate staying at hotels, and I thought,
Mhm.
like, let's just not even bother. But now that I've started, like, just taking little trips and doing stuff like that, it's been so fun, and
Yes.
it's literally worth it, and it's
So
like
worth it.
I don't know why I never did this before.
Yes. For the young people listening, travel, go do fun
Yeah,
things. It's so like you make memories. It's so great.
it really is. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, that's another thing. Just don't stay at home all the time. Make plans and do things.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, last question. Okay. To end off the episode, let everyone. Oh, this isn't even a question. Wait, yeah, it is. Okay.
It's a command. Tell us. Tell us. Let us
Let
know.
everyone know where they can follow you. And oh, I kind of already asked this. And can we expect anything fun from you soon? Or are you working on anything? Or are you just
I
living?
mean, I have some ideas for some covers of songs. And,
Okay.
honestly, I'll be real without getting too down deep a rabbit hole because I know it's the end of the episode. But I've been trying to
Okay.
find some new creative outlets because I feel like I've had
Ooh.
a block of creativity lately.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to listen to I want a new sound. I just want like some new
Okay.
influences. So I'm kind of thinking
Okay.
of some new covers soon.
Okay.
And
That's fun.
also, you can follow me on Instagram, on Facebook, and YouTube, and now TikTok. I've been trying to get on
Oh,
TikTok.
okay.
I'm trying to branch out a bit. So, but I encourage you if you want to listen to some music or just let the Lord like go check out my page if you want to. I mean,
Yes.
yes,
Yes. And I'll link it below, and I
yes.
will link Katie's Spotify. She has two very amazing songs out that you need to go and check out if you haven't already. Um but yeah, that was some really good advice you gave today, and I think this was really fun.
Oh,
Thank you for being on
I
again.
I always have fun with you. You're so easy to talk to.
I'm glad. Well, okay, everybody, go click the links, go check out her music, and I guess I'll see you guys next week for the next guest.
Oh,
So,
goodbye, listeners.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Quoted Podcast. Come back next Thursday for more.